It's the Dep Lewis Show. The Dep Lewis Show. It's the Dep Lewis Show. It's the Dep Lewis Show. The Dep Lewis Show. It's the Dep Lewis Show. It's the Dep Lewis Show. The Dep Lewis Show. It's the Dep Lewis Show.
Welcome to the best show you'll ever know, the Dep Lewis Show, episode 94. This is your host, Dep Lewis, and today is Sunday, September 15th, 2024. A great day for a podcast about video games and much more. So welcome to the show. Hope you're doing great out there in the world on this NFL Sunday. If you're listening in real time, maybe you're watching some football, maybe you're hitting some parlays, maybe you're playing some video games, or hopefully just having a great day. So I am here to get down to some business. The first order of business is to ask you to follow Dep Lewis Show everywhere. That would help me out immensely. Full episodes of Dep Lewis Show available anywhere you can find a podcast. So find the best place to subscribe and listen weekly. Places like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, YouTube, Amazon Music, and more. If you'd like to support the show even further than just listening, patreon.com/DepLewisShow is available. If you'd like to subscribe monthly and get some additional benefits, also Venmo at Dep Lewis Show is available any day, anytime, for any amount if you would like to support the show and help out this podcasting journey. So welcome to the show. I really do hope you're doing great out there in the world today. It is a great day to talk about video games, a great day to talk about sports, which we'll get into in the end of the show in the Miscellaneous Talk section. But for today's show, we have three sections as always. The first section will be what video games have been playing since I've last talked to you on this microphone. And I have one really main game to tell you about this week. The mid section of the show is always video game news, happenings, releases, information, and everything you need to know. So I source the internet and the world, and I scour the landscapes, and I what else do I do? I read things, and that's, doesn't sound as interesting, but I bring all the cool news I believe to you in the midsection of the show. So that is a very important section. And the third section of the show is the Miscellaneous Talk section, where I can talk about anything I want to outside of the video game world. So I'll give you a little bit of a video game break for the final section. And we usually get into the worldwide world of sports, and that is what we'll do today. And I'm going to a football game later today, so that's pretty cool. Going to see the Carolina Panthers playing at home against the Chargers today. That's only a few hours, maybe 3 or 4 hours away from real time of recording this podcast. So there's already Carolina Panther fans in the streets. I've seen some brown bags on some heads, and I don't know if that's called excitement for the game, but hey, it's a home game. Maybe you got to say they won't be as bad as last week, but we'll talk about that in the final section of the show. So let's get into what I've been playing as video games. So the main game I've been playing, and I want to go ahead and pronounce this game in the lead for Game of the Year for the Dep Lewis Show for 2024, and that is Astro. So congratulations to Team Asobi and Astro for being in the lead. They are the betting favorites. I would say they are minus 750 at least right now. If you want to bet the odds on Astro winning Game of the Year for the Dep Lewis Show, I'm loving this game. It is very reminiscent of Mario Galaxy, and I think that is in the best way possible. It's on a modern platform. There are no motion controls. I think that's a benefit from Mario Galaxy. Well, that's a lie. There are motion controls in this game, but not as prominent or continuous throughout the game like collecting the stars. But no hate to Mario Galaxy. It's one of my favorite games of all time. And this game is excellent. I can't believe it is this excellent. And it really is what it was promised to be. The pre-installed Astro that came on PlayStation 4, maybe PlayStation 5. If you haven't played that, please go play that right now if you don't want to go ahead and purchase Astrobot. And that was a perfect sample size of what this bigger, larger game was going to be. And they really have just expanded it out, added more levels, added more things to do. The UI in this game is amazing. Every corner, nook, and cranny in this game, you can look around and see something cool or cute or funny or just awesome looking. And this game is pure video game fun. And it is one of those games you just want to pick up and play. You can play any time of the day. I'm sort of a moody gamer sometimes. I like to play different things at different times. And this is one where it's just so good. You just want to pick it up and play it. It's going to be sad when it's over. I don't know how completionist I'm going to be with this game because I don't know if that fits my play style. But I definitely want to complete this game. I want to probably try to complete all the levels. The levels are the main thing here that are the coolest thing besides Astrobot and his different forms and variations. It's just so cool to walk around this world. It's so fun. Every mechanic they have you doing is fun. Most of the mechanics they have you doing are very fleeting. So even if you don't like something, you're just doing it for a bit. And they do have you have to use your brain a little bit on some of these things. And this game is not, I wouldn't say this game is difficult, but there are some challenging pieces. There's some challenging platform sections. And some of the mechanics will take you a second when you get a new ability. which you get, there'll be different levels based on different abilities that you can pick up or whatever. And sometimes it'll just take a second to click, and then once it does click, you're like, oh man, that's really cool, and then you're having fun doing the mechanic. I've gone down a water slide in this game. I just played some this morning. I changed into a Astrobot where I could function as a sponge and gain water. And there are, the cops are probably rushing right now. You can hear their sirens. They're probably rushing to go play Astrobot. They're probably just getting off their shift. They're trying to go home and play some levels before football. Sorry for that. But Astrobot, well, let me go to my notes here. Finished the first 2 worlds. Yeah, I finished those first 2 worlds, all the levels. I haven't completed everything in the levels, but I've completed all the levels in the first 2 worlds. I am on to the 3rd world now, which is the snake. And I am loving the snake world. It might be my favorite world so far. It's had some really fun stuff. I love breaking through the glass, jumping into places. It's just all the tactile stuff in this game is really fun. Your controller is going to be very noisy during this game. It's going to be making some rumbles and doing all sorts of different things. So apologies to the people around you, but it really does enhance the experience. And I got the ability to change he rides around on a DualShock or a DualSense controller. So it's really cool. And I just got the ability to change the color. So now I'm riding around on a all black DualSense, and I think everything in this game is just top tier. This is an excellent video game. I've kind of heard the sales aren't doing too great, so that's sad to hear, but it might just be a smaller subsect of gamers nowadays like 3D platformers. And Astrobot is a newer franchise, but hopefully this game will gain momentum over time sales-wise and be an indicator of games that people want to play, because this is an amazing game. What else did I write? I love the frog punch hands. That's been an early favorite for abilities. It's really fun to hit those. The left trigger does the left hand, right trigger does the right hand. You can hit items back into other enemies and all sorts of stuff. The platforming is fun. It's fun to die in this game and try right back again. It really does feel like Mario Galaxy in a lot of spots, especially in the overworld. And I like how the overworld is a little bit snappier than Mario Galaxy. Mario Galaxy, you'd have to do some walking around, and this one is a little more right to the point of getting into the galaxies. And in Galaxy, you would have to walk around the hub world, which I kind of like. I like doing some of that stuff. Like, some of that is enjoyable, and I don't know if I would necessarily change it if I had to, but just in comparison to this, it is a little more fluid and easy to get into the things, which has been nice. And with the amount of levels in this, it's been nice too. So it's not shortchanging you in any way with this game. But I was trying to say, in Mario Galaxy, you walk around the hub world, and then you get into like the thing. I can't think of the name. It's like something rarium, but it's something you would be viewing the planets in. And you get into that area, then you have to jump into the hub world from there. So just a few extra steps, but no shade again to Mario Galaxy. These are comparisons in the best way, because Mario Galaxy is one of my favorite games ever. All right, so I think some of my favorite spots in this game have been some of the side levels, and I think these are more of the challenge levels. So the first world had triangles. It's like triangle. I'm calling it Triangle Nation, and they have Circle Nation in the next one, where you discover this hidden kind of little area. And it spouts out 4 or 5 different challenges, all based on a particular button on the controller. So the first one I did was Triangle Nation, and the second one was Circle. So all different levels based around. You're going to see a bunch of triangles in the level, a bunch of circles in the level, and they've been fun, kind of bite-sized. And these really do remind me of Mario Galaxy. I think these are some of the areas that have a little more difficulty to them, and they've been fun. But it's fun in the way where you want to try it 15 times before you get it, and you're not really getting frustrated during it. You're just really ready to go next time, and you're learning the thing. And then that one faithful run. Is it fateful or faithful? It could be a faithful run where everything just goes correctly. You're just sliding through. You're making all the right jumps. You're making all the right moves, and you get to the end, and you save your friend, and you throw your hands up high, and then you blast off on that DualSense controller, and it's a wonderful time. So Astrobot is definitely a betting favorite, top favorite for Game of the Year right now. I'd say go play this, especially if you love platformers. If you just really want something to play and you haven't tried platformers, please just try this out. I think this game is very accessible to many people, and you don't have to engage with some of the more difficult levels if you don't want to. And I don't really think the difficulty has been too high yet. I think it's been a great amount of difficulty. I think for people who like these games, you might want to see a little bit more of that. Maybe that is to come, and the completionary stuff in this game can be really fun to do. So that is up for consideration for me. Astrobot is a wonderful video game, and is definitely in the lead for Game of the Year for the Dep Lewis Show for 2024. So awesome, killer, amazing, wonderful, fun, charming, creative, and just outstanding video game. That is the Astrobot. So you heard it here. Go play Astrobot. So that's been the main thing I've been playing all week. It's been a joy to play that. I have played some Super Mario RPG. Been playing a few things on my Switch, just handheld. The weather's been getting a little bit cooler outside as we get closer to the fall. And it's been nice to sit out there and play some video games. So I've been playing some Super Mario RPG. I am in Nimbus area, so I'm in the Nimbus town, whatever that is. I just keep riding the combat system, and the party characters are so much fun in this game, and the graphics are strikingly good too. So the art style and everything in this game is fun. The combat's fun. I was stuck at a certain area for a long time, a little bit just based on my own being stupid, but this game is a really fun game, and I'm hoping to get to Paper Mario Thousand Year Door after this as my plan for Nintendo Switch RPG. So another thing I've also been playing a little bit, not as much since Astrobot's really taken over my week, but Castlevania Dominus collection. I just want to mention how cool of a collection that is. I'm playing some of this still in handheld. I've been playing Dawn of Sorrow. It's been the only game I've touched so far in that collection, but I've been having an A+, 10 out of 10 time with that, and that's going to be a really big contender for Game of the Year too, is this collection. And really getting a whole lot of great video games throughout the course of the year. Early on, it was a little bit of a slow start. Many of these podcasts, I was saying, hey, I haven't really played too many 2024 games. It's going to be hard to make a list, and that list is getting fully fleshed out and going to have some contenders, and Astrobot is going to be a really strong Game of the Year if it does happen for the history of the show. This will be my third Game of the Year that I'll be getting into with this upcoming Game of the Year, and it'll be cool one day to maybe battle all my Game of the Years against each other and make a list that way, and I can kind of backdoor my way into a really, really great list of video games I love. And I've already looked up some of my Game of the Year lists from the past 2 years and would like to change some things, but I think the number one games on each of those lists are correct for myself. So I think I'm happy about that. But there are, you never know. Your taste could change, and my opinions can change on that a little bit too. And you never know. So I'm here to keep you updated on it here on the Dep Lewis Show. So those have been the 3 games I've been playing: Astrobot, Super Mario RPG, Castlevania Dominus Collection, and other gaming notes for myself. It's the year of the RPG on the Dep Lewis Show. So just been a whole year of focusing on RPGs, looking into those games a little bit more, trying them a little more than I'd like. I finished Final Fantasy VII Remake earlier in the year. I'm still playing Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I'm loving that game. That's definitely up there on the top game for the year for me. That's something I'm still playing. So for my quest for the year of the RPG, I think on that list right now is Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. It's pretty strong. And then Super Mario RPG Remake into Paper Mario Thousand Year Door. I think those are going to be kind of my final plans. If I need to get more games on my list for the year of the RPG, I definitely have them. But I think that's a tall enough order for me for the last couple months of the year for this year of the RPG on the Dep Lewis Show. And I know this was mentioned on a previous show, but I really do think next year is going to be the year of the fighting game on the Dep Lewis Show. So the prior year to this was the year of survival horror. We've had the year of the RPG for 2024. And I think 2025 is going to be the year of the fighting game. There's been some recent releases. I've been getting back into a little bit of older fighting games and just getting the itch a little bit, which I think happens to me. I don't know, it really does. Mortal Kombat 11 was the last one that really hooked for me, and I have some games I want to try out and possibly purchase and already in my collection. So I'm getting a little bit into the fighting game state of mind, and I might want to pony up for some online service and maybe try some things out. So that's kind of where my mind's at, but it's still the year of the RPG until the end of 2024. So we have some months left, but we are getting close to the end of the year. So those have been the games I've been playing, and I'll probably be playing some of these in the upcoming week again. So you're definitely going to be hearing about some more Astrobot on the podcast next week, and what else, there's no telling. So you got to come back next week and listen to the show as you always do, since you are the most loyal fan in the universe, in the Mario Galaxy, in the Dep Lewis Show Galaxy. All right, so that's going to wrap up the first section of the show, and we're going to come back after this lovely break music to give you all the best video game news and information that you need to know. And there's a bunch of good information, so you don't want to miss it. So, go heat up your coffee, go set your fantasy lineup, go put some parlays down, and then come back for the midsection of Dep Lewis Show after this. Welcome back to the midsection of Dep Lewis Show, episode 94. This is where I tell you about all the best video game information and news going on around the world, around the industry, around the universe that you need to know. And we've been getting jam-packed or jammed up, as they would say on Are You Garbage, with video game information. That's been a great thing. So I'm going to tell you all about it here. The other thing I'd like to mention, if you do hear some background noise, that is Carolina Panther fans getting really excited for the game today. So it is reminding me to last year of recording a podcast when the Dallas Cowboys were in town, and the Dallas Cowboys fans were turning up like no other. So for today, there's really just some Panthers fans out there. I've seen some brown bags on the heads, I think I mentioned, and they're out there having fun at 9 in the morning, boozing it up. So they're going to make a good time out of the Panthers today either way. So if you hear any background noise, that's what's going on out there. And we're going to get into the video game news. So let's tell you about what's going on. So there has been a PS5 technical presentation. So this has been the big news of the week, and I'm here to tell you about it. This was hosted by Mark Cerny, the lead architect of the PS5 console. This was on the 10th at 11 a.m. You can go watch it now on youtube.com/PlayStation. It's a pretty short video, I think around 9 minutes long or something like that, was the update. So they have been saying over the last 4 years since the launch of the PS5, we've worked hard to continuously evolve the console experience and deliver great games our players expect from us. Today, I'm incredibly proud to announce the next step in the evolution and welcome PlayStation 5 Pro to the PlayStation family, our most advanced and innovative console hardware to date. So they have unveiled the PlayStation 5 Pro to not many people's surprise, but some of these things are going to be surprising. The main thing is the price tag here, $699 US dollars. Pre-orders begin on September 26, 2024, and this console will launch on November 7th, 2024. And many are speculating that we're going to get a Sony State of Play or Direct, I think it's called a State of Play, whatever Sony calls their showcase, a couple days before the pre-orders begin on September 26th, and hopefully unveil some other information game-wise. But this showcase really is just showing off the PlayStation 5 Pro console. It just looks like a beefier console. This one is a pass for me. I would love to, if Sony wants to send me one, I would love to try it out. If I hit the lottery, I would just buy one if I wanted to. But if I'm just trying to be a normal consumer, like most people are, I don't think this is going to be something I want. I definitely don't need to purchase. I would like to say that. I don't think anyone really needs to purchase this. And I would even say I don't want to purchase this. So I think that's kind of my thoughts on this. I don't know. I'm certainly happy with the PlayStation 5 as it is. There aren't that many PlayStation 5 exclusive games that are running, or games that run poorly. I think a lot of people like to point to Final Fantasy VII Rebirth as running a little bit poorly. And I do agree with that. That was a little bit shocking when I booted that game up that I didn't actually look that great. And it definitely looks better on one of the performance settings. So make sure you check that in the menus. And that really did help it out. But I mean, that is a really small, minor complaint. And I talked about the first section of Nintendo Switch, Super Mario RPG. That game, how great that game looks. I wrote the graphics are strikingly good. So I mean, that's running on Xbox 360 like hardware almost, or whatever, or technology, or that kind of boost. So I mean, I think it's a little bit, it's more about what you're working with, or how you're working, like how you're using the technology more so than just having high specs. And I think this is a little bit of just a high spec benchmark kind of, they keep calling it more of a boutique purchase, or more like just really dedicated Sony fans or people who are early adopters, which I usually am. So I don't know if they're calling it more of like a niche purchase, but I want to tell you about all the things they're touting about this. They have upgraded GPU. So with PS5 Pro, we are upgrading to a GPU that has 67% more compute units than the current PS5 console and 28% faster memory. Overall, this enables up to 45% faster rendering for gameplay, making the experience much smoother. Advanced ray tracing. We've added even more powerful ray tracing that provides more dynamic reflection and refraction of light. This allows the rays to be cast at double and at times triple the speeds of the current PS5 console. AI-driven upscaling. We're also introducing the PlayStation Spectral Super Resolution, an AI-driven upscaling that uses a machine learning-based technology to provide super sharp image clarity by adding an extraordinary amount of detail. It says the height and width are the same as the original PS5, so not going to be the slimmed down version, and there is no disk drive with this. That's a lot of things people are upset about, this being 700 USDs. It is a diskless drive. You can buy an add-on disk drive, which have been selling like hotcakes recently, and it does not come with a stand either. There's the PlayStation 5 has a stand that's sold separately if you'd like to stand your console up vertically and have it be completely secure. But I have a PS5 console I'm looking at right now that's standing vertically, and it's just kind of in a good area where I don't think it would topple over, and I've had no issues with it. So I don't know about this. I think this is a pretty just unexciting thing. I don't think people are calling for this, and I think this is I don't know if this will mark a shift. I feel like this is the cell phone, the complete cell phoneification of consoles. I think we're really saying like kind of minute upgrades in terms of what we need power-wise. I think we need more software at this point. So I think the pendulum has swung more towards the hardware spec side of things and a little bit less away from software with some of these companies, and I don't think that's ultimately what the people want. I don't think if you had the most powerful machine in the world and you had nothing to play on it, it's going to be useless. So I think there's got to be a balance, and I think a little bit of the balance in the video game industry is out these days, and I think this is a glaring example of that. I think I've heard a few different numbers on, there's a PS4 Pro, there was an Xbox One X. I guess that was what they called their Pro version. So this had been done before. It's not new. This isn't a new concept of selling a mid-generation refresh, but I think some of those sales only amounted maybe 12 or 8% of their total sales for that console. So this shouldn't be expected to be a huge seller or a huge portion of PlayStation 5 sold, but they're trying to put it out there. I don't really know what the thought behind it is, and I think it's a little bit just kind of bad timing. I think I don't know if this can necessarily backfire for them, but I would definitely be a little more cautious about what this is doing, because this has received a lot of, I've heard maybe 10%, I don't even know what percent, but there are people out there excited for this. Obviously there's a for every seat on the bus, or whatever that saying is. There's an ass for every seat on the bus, and that's calling all these people asses, but they are not. But hopefully just get what I mean. But there's always going to be somebody. There's people of different what's the word, preferences all across the board. So I think the majority of people, though, are not going to be excited for this. I think this is going to be too high price for a lot of people. I think this is going to be doing things people don't necessarily need, and I don't think, they were showing off some PS4 games when they were showing this off, and I've heard the conversation, hey, they don't want to make their current games they're selling to you, the games that have come out this year, like Astro, they don't want to make people feel bad about playing them on PlayStation 5, so they have to strike that balance. But, it's kind of boo-hoo to them. They should treat us a little more adult-like out here as consumers, and $700 is a lot of money for a console, and especially with seemingly kind of minor upgrades. So I don't know. I would say probably stay away. I would just definitely say stay away. I think it's even safe to say these days that you don't need to buy the new generation console right when it comes out either. I think that is more apparent. I think last generation was a great example of that, and I think that's only going to continue over time. And it could just be myself being, that could be my personal thought of my age and how my preferences and how I like playing and all that kind of stuff. But I don't know. I don't know if I need the top tier, even though I do have the new consoles right now. I don't know. And that could just be a kind of a cop out for, not wanting to get this console. But if I really did want to run some type of high end graphical thing, you'd go to the PC and you'd be building a crazy PC out and you can reach the higher highs there. So I really do think I'm a little bit more in the console side of things. And I just don't know if I need this mid-generation refresh. So I think it's a weird generation in general. I don't think there's many games this generation can hang its hat on, and we're already implementing a mid-generation refresh, so it's kind of like they're just going on the normal console trajectory without the games a little bit. So, there's plenty of old games to play, there's plenty of collections, there's plenty of remasters, all that kind of jazz, there's plenty of stuff to play out there in the world, but talking of new games and things that are going to be selling systems and being the reason you really want to buy something, like when I had to wanted to get a Wii back in the day to play Mario Galaxy, that's a pretty epic time in my video gaming history, or getting a PlayStation 3 to play Metal Gear 4, or what's some other ones? There's probably Switch is definitely one to play Breath of the Wild, to play Mario Odyssey back in the day. I got an Xbox and wanted to play Halo. PlayStation 2, I was buying Grand Theft Auto and getting Okami and playing one of the baseball games that was available then. And things are changing over time, which is going to happen, but we don't necessarily have to go along with it, especially when it comes to having to spend our cash on it. So that is kind of my overall thoughts on the PlayStation Pro. I would say it's more of a PlayStation. No, but it looks okay. It looks cool. If Sony would love to send me one, I would gladly play one, but I don't think it's going to change anybody's life. And I think people need to chill on all the hate and all that kind of stuff to it. You don't have to purchase this. I think the console right now is running perfectly fine. I don't think they're going to start releasing any games that are just PlayStation 5 Pro exclusive, because they're haven't been releasing games that are PlayStation 5 exclusive really. So I don't know, but that thing has been announced. Pre-order start on the September 26th, and this console will launch on November 7th, 2024. I don't know. I don't really even expect. I can already anticipate the reaction to this. I'm going to be following people on the internet who I like in the video game world. They're going to be getting sent these. They're going to be playing them. Some of them are going to be selling you on some things that are okay with it. But overall, I don't think it's going to change things too differently. And it's just going to move on to some people's current PlayStation 5. I don't think it's going to be too differentiate. I don't think it's going to differentiate itself that much is my overall thought. But, you never know. Wait and see mode. But from what we've been told and what we've been sold, I think that is the case. All right, this next game I want to talk about is something. We talked about the PS5 Pro. We're going to get into some games now. So this game has been released. It is called Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection Arcade Classics. So I mentioned next year is up for Year of the Fighting Game on the Dep Lewis Show is what I'm thinking about. So this is definitely one that's sparking some interest in that world and diving back in and getting further into that world. But Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection Arcade Classics, definitely up there from one of the longer, more complicated game name titles to say this year is now out on Switch, PlayStation, and Windows. The Xbox version will be coming out in 2025 is what they're saying. This game is $49.99 US. Dive into an action-packed lineup consisting of 7 unique titles, including heavy hitters like X-Men vs. Street Fighter, Marvel vs. Capcom 2 New Age of Heroes. The collection also includes the rare beat-em-up game The Punisher. So they're saying whether you're new to the series or a nostalgic arcade veteran, players of all skill levels can enjoy these timeless classics together through local and online play. There is no cross-play. Is one thing I've been hearing this negative about this. I've watched some people like Maximilian Dude and Justin Wong playing this game and talking about it, and even RGT85 has been talking about this too. They're all seemingly very high on this. I think some of the online stuff was working itself out early in the release of it, but I think it's maybe been worked out. I think some of these people were getting matched up against players that have been playing this game for 20 years and getting crushed, and that is to be expected in fighting games, and definitely there's a barrier of entry there. But with any of these things, you can get in there and try to get better, and sometimes that is fun to do. So I think that's a conversation I think around most fighting games that you're going to be told, and I think it's a valid conversation, but I don't think it ultimately needs to make your decision of whether you want to try it or not. Unless the game's just broken or there's something crazy like that, I think the matchmaking should hopefully just be improved and be putting people around your same kind of skill level together. So hopefully it's doing some of that. I think this game has updated net code. I think it's running great online. I think the only complaint is no crossplay. And I think everyone's been saying all the games in this collection are really great, fun to play, and I really want to play this. So this is something I've been wanting to pull the trigger on buying. I have other games I'm playing right now, or I would think about it some more, but this is going to be a game I would like to get in my collection and play some of these things in here. I think Marvel vs. Capcom 2 is the big star of this, and I would like to try some of that out. I think it's one of the cooler mashups of characters. I think they have one of the cooler rosters in fighting games. And I was watching some Maximilian Dude talk last night, and he was saying, as a tip, you just want to be kind of conscious of what characters that you're choosing. He's saying there's a lot of characters in this game that are not good, that if you just want to play some characters that are fun, that you're going to probably be getting worked. So if you'd like to have some success, you need to have a little bit of strategy, which that's valid for kind of anything. But he was saying a little more so in this game, you need to be more mindful of your characters that you're choosing and the combinations, and your anti-air assist, I think, are pretty important in this game. And I've been doing a little bit of the learning before actually playing it, so I like to do that sometimes with these video games, and that's part of the fun. So Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection Arcade Classics is out now on Switch, and I've heard the Switch version is running great. It's out on PlayStation and Windows, and it's coming out to Xbox next year is what they are saying. But I've heard this game runs great on Switch, and I'm a little bit tempted to pick it up there because it would be fun to have that collection on the Switch, but to be able to play handheld, but it might be more fun to play on a console with a fight stick, blah, 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 blah. So something I am deciding on, but that game looks really cool, and I'm glad that it has been released. Something else I want to mention that has been released, and this is something that I wrote kind of shadow dropped, it felt like. This is a game that I end up picking up mostly every year. I don't always pick it up right when it comes out anymore because it does go on sale, but it's NBA 2K25. So I just want to mention the new NBA game is out. Jason Tatum's on the cover. This is developed by Visual Concepts and published by 2K, the 26th installment of this game. It released on September 3rd, 2024, so pretty wild. Just kind of feel like that one kind of rushed in. It's $69.99 USDs. I believe the actual NBA season starts around October 23rd, I think, or something around then. And this game's out. So I just want to mention that. If you're a basketball fan, there's a lot of people that buy this game every year. So you probably already know about this, but if you're like me where you'll probably buy this game at some point in the history over the course of the year, it's good to know that it's out. And I haven't heard anything too negative. I'm sure it's just a little bit more par for the course. You get the updated rosters. That's about all you're really going to get there. And enjoy the basketball, the simulated basketball. So that game is available now. Something else that's going on right now that is wrapping up today. I'm going to be getting this podcast out pretty early, so you still have some time in the day for this. And Splatoon 3 is having the Grand Festival. That's been going on since this past Friday. And it is a giant Splatfest, basically. So Splatfest for Splatoon 3 have reached a grand finale in the music-filled Grand Festival in-game event happening now. From the minute your Inkling or Octoling arrives at the train station and walks through the ink shower unscathed, you'll see why this is a Splatfest like no other. The Splatfest for Splatoon 3 is a 3-day in-game festival of music, ink-stained competition, and community fun. There are surprises lurking everywhere from the field of competition to the rafters high above the main concert stages, where this time it's not just the Anarchy Splatcast host Deep Cut who are getting on the act. This is starting on September 12th, so last Friday, and it ends today for listening real time, September 15th at 5 p.m. Pacific time. So you'll have a few hours after this podcast comes out to continue on the Grand Festival. And the question they're asking for this one is, which is the most important to you, past, present, or future? But I think for this, I don't think you can pick past. I think you need to pick the present. I think you got to live, be where your feet are, whatever that saying is. I think if you really had to boil it down here, that you would want to pick present would be the best for you out there. So I think Team Present's going to be going pretty hard this week. That would have gotten my ink blaster putting its ink towards that if I had to pick. And I just haven't played Splatoon 3 in a while. I love this game. It's been one of the games of the year for the Dep Lewis Show, and it should be. And I was tempted to get back into this, but Astrobot has really been taking over the video gaming for me. But even playing Astrobot, it does make me want to play some more Splatoon 3, because Splatoon 3 has some platforming in it too, in its own way, and it's just a fun game to play with cool characters. And so that's going on right now. So if you're going in there, go for Team Present, and rep out there for the Splatfest. All right. So what else is going on video game wise? This other thing has been released, and that is Persona 3 Reload has had some DLC. So it's called Episode Aegis, the Answer DLC, and this released on September 10th, 2024. So last week. After unraveling the mysteries of the Dark Hour, fighting epic battles through Tartarus, and all the unforgettable events of Persona 3 Reload, the SEES members find themselves trapped in a never-ending March 31st. Journey through the abyss of time as Aegis, undertake new challenges, and uncover the cause of this strange fate and the truth of what happened on that day. So this seems like some more type of endgame content for this. This content can only be obtained by purchasing the Persona 3 Reload expansion pass. The DLC pack is showing $26.99 US. So if you would like to get I think this completes the game from the Persona 3 portable version and the other version. I think this officially kind of puts everything into one package. So I think that's a pretty cool thing for Persona 3 Reload. It is something I played earlier in the year through Game Pass. I no longer have Game Pass, but this is a game I might see myself purchasing at one point to play further. I love the music. It's still in my head from this game. None in my bed, but I'm chilling in my bed. That song is very, very good and very catchy, as all Persona 3 or all Persona games are. And Persona 3 Episode Aegis, I hope I'm saying that right, the Answer DLC is out right now. Something else that is coming out in the upcoming week is something that I would like to purchase further down the road, since I've had a mad rush of great video games into my collection. But this is something I'd like to play at some point to try it out, because this looks like a great remaster and is called Dead Rising Deluxe Remaster. This releases September 19th, 2024 for PS5, Xbox Series X and S, and Microsoft Windows. It is $69.99 USD, so a full price game, but they are touting it's more than just a remaster. This deluxe remaster is a full graphical overhaul of the first game in zombie slaughtering action game series Dead Rising. This remaster has also been fully voiced, supports autosaves, and has various other quality of life features. Witness the unmatched mayhem and freedom for yourself. But the story of this is one day, the peaceful town of Willamette, Colorado, found itself put under quarantine by the U.S. Army. Frank West, a freelance journalist, smells a scoop and finds his way into the only shopping mall in town. Unfortunately, the mall has turned into a living hell, crawling with countless zombies. Help will arrive in 72 hours, so it's up to him to find out the truth behind the incident before it's too late. Dum dum dum. But this is a game I have a lot of nostalgia for, something I would like to play at some point, and go watch some videos on, I think it was on Capcom's YouTube. But two of the developers were showing off this remaster, and it was a really great sell on the video game. It really showed off a lot of great stuff, so go search that out. I've definitely talked about that video on the show before, but Dead Rising Deluxe Remaster looks like a super quality remaster and something I'd like to add to my collection at some point and really give another go at the Dead Rising for some zombie fun. All right, so some more news. What do we got? One of my favorite franchises of all time, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, has had a little bit of rumblings that there could be something upcoming. So the 25th anniversary is coming up later this year. I think that's why some of this speculation is being done. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater originally released September 29th, 1999, and just some wonderful, wonderful games. And then even Tony Hawk himself has said, I wish I could tell you more, but I can tell you that I've been talking to Activision again, which is insanely exciting. We're working on something that is the first time I've said that publicly, and it'll be something the fans will truly appreciate. So we do have Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 in a collection, and that's been updated for next gen and all that kind of stuff. And then it has been rumored that 3 and 4 were going to be the next one's release. So I think Tony Hawk 3 is my favorite game in the Tony Hawk franchise, so that would be a day one pickup for me if they remastered it or reworked it in any way and released it. I would love to play Tony Hawk 3 again on a modern platform, and I would probably be down for mostly anything that Tony Hawk wants to remaster or recollect or whatever it may be, because Tony Hawk's a wonderful franchise. I think it's a classic franchise. I think it still holds up, and I love some Tony Hawk, so very good to hear those rumblings, and I'll be looking out for some more information on Tony Hawk's Pro Skater very soon. I mean, if we would get a new game, that would be even more amazing. I mean, think about that. Getting a modern Tony Hawk, have some developer really kind of stick to the roots a little bit with fleshing out a little bit more in modern times. I think would be pretty amazing. Add some different kind of characters and skaters in that game. Can be really, really fun, and I think it'd be a really good seller. I think Tony Hawk I think he's still popular nowadays. I think he's kind of like a mythological figure in the sporting kind of world and skating world for sure. And I don't know. I think there could still be some there. That could be a little bit of my older gamer self talking here about the reverence for the Tony Hawk franchise, but just what a wonderful game from back in the day. It's a little bit hard to believe it's not still really going full force or having more kind of common releases or something, but maybe we're about to see that. So I'll definitely keep you updated here on the Dep Lewis Show. All right, so let's get into this is more of we talked about all the good video game stuff, so let's get more back into the sad side of things. There have been more layoffs. Microsoft and Xbox have some layoffs. Microsoft is laying off around 650 employees in the gaming division. This happened on September 12, 2024. Xbox chief Phil Spencer announced layoffs to employees in an internal memo. As part of aligning our post-acquisition team structure and managing our business, we have made the decision to eliminate approximately 650 roles across Microsoft Gaming, so mostly corporate and supporting functions, to organize our business for long-term success. So I would really love to know why this keeps happening with every single company, especially any company that goes through an acquisition. This is going to happen, it seems like. And no games, devices, or experience are being canceled, and no studios are being closed as part of the layoffs today. Just the people that are remaining there will be getting extra work for them and more on their plate. Phil's email was the same as every layoff email I ever imagined. That's what I wrote. So yeah, that definitely does sound like just corporate playbook talk, and that's what they're going to give you. But I think ultimately this is not a good sign. They're taking PR hits here. They are losing resources here. They are realigning, re-strategizing. They're not doing that because they are hitting home runs everywhere. So these are faults of the company. Ultimately these are the faults of the company when these scenarios happen. But they always spin it to you like they're restructuring for the better, which they have to sell it to you in the positive way because that's just how it works. But you just need to recognize this playbook. This playbook is becoming more evident. I don't know how long. I guess this playbook's been going on for forever. I'm just really getting more aware of it these days. But I'll be interested to see if companies keep doing this, keep selling us this crock of what. And they need to keep it real. These companies need to keep it real a little bit more. I think that would be said. I think no one really cares about this highfalutin talk like this. It's like, be for real. Everybody can kind of see through these things nowadays, and I think some of these companies are operating on a little bit of an old mind frame. And I don't know if that mind frame is just what keeps these companies rolling or if they have to really change this. So it's been fun having this show and being able to monitor these things. And even in my own life of working in the world and having friends that are working, you see some of this stuff too. So you see it there, which is striking, and then you see it here, which is striking, and you see them kind of being similar. So I think it's just kind of a larger pattern in the world, obviously, and something that happens. But Xbox is laying off people. We've been talking about how Xbox doesn't really have any games. PlayStation doesn't really have any games in the upcoming pipeline that people are looking forward to. So they're laying off people making the games. So are they really just trying to sell us hardware at some point and leave all the games to the indie devs and pray the indie devs hit it big, and then they buy them up, and then they ruin the company or fumble the next project? I think we're going to be seeing a lot more of that, is what it sounds like. So keep raising the price of these boxes and not giving us stuff to play on them. Woohoo. Fun stuff. Way to go. All right. So Xbox laid off people. And then we have this story with Annapurna Interactive. So I think it was last week I talked about Annapurna and Remedy having a co-partnership to produce Control 2 and do some other things. So I think maybe some of those negotiations are the driver for some of this stuff. But the entire staff of Annapurna Interactive, the video game publishing division of Megan Ellison's Annapurna Studio, resigned this month following a dispute with its owner. So Jason Schreier article says Annapurna Interactive president Nathan Gary and his team had been negotiating with Ellison, the daughter of billionaire Larry Ellison, to spin off the video game division as an independent entity. When Ellison pulled out of the negotiations, Gary and the other executives resigned and were followed by around 24 other staffers. So pretty crazy. All the people doing the groundwork were all in unison. Ellison says, so Ellison is the owner. Our top priority is continuing to support our developer and publishing partners during this transition. So here's corporate talk. We're committed to not only our existing slate of games, but also expanding our presence in the interactive space as we continue to look for opportunities to take a more integrated approach to linear and interactive storytelling across film and TV, gaming, and theater. So, that's a statement of, the house is burning out underneath me, but I'm not going to let you know or see that, or I'm not going to give any air of any air of that being true, sort of thing. So this is just kind of not fake it till you make it, but this is definitely don't address the issue here. Don't show any weakness kind of thing in this comment. They're trying to not only continue what they're doing, but they're trying to expand when the whole entire staff has said, see ya. And over the past few days, game makers working with Annapurna have scrambled to find new points of contact and figure out whether the company will continue to honor its agreements. So a really great experience for all the people they work with as well. So that's something they are imparting on these other people. New president Hector Sanchez has told developers that the company will honor existing contracts and replace the staff who have left. Sanchez is originally a co-founder of Annapurna Interactive, and he was brought back last month. So don't you worry, we're going to get a new president in here, Mr. Sanchez, and we're going to get all new staff. And things are going to be running smoothly and just be great, and no one's going to remember this or think about it ever again. And I think it's bad. I think it's a really bad look. That's the main thing I want to say. I don't know what's entirely going on. I'm not going to know the whole story, but I think it's a bad look, and something is not being run correctly there. The balance in the system there has not been cultivated properly, and there's something off about this, and it doesn't smell correct. So, sorry, all those people are having to go through that, and I think the owners of these companies need to figure it out, and that's their goal. And if they don't, there's really high price stuff on the line there. But I think it's interesting. The article says her daughter of a billionaire. They have to bring that up. So obviously they got some deep pockets here running this company, and that will allow you to be able to say goodbye to your whole staff a little bit easier. And they're the ones that resigned, but she could have said, hey, I'm sorry, or hey, I'm going to give up some type of concession. So I think having some of these companies, most of these companies are operating from that standpoint where they have the huge bag of money. They're making record profits year over year, and then they're laying you off and saying that they have to restructure and re-strategize their business. So I think a lot of these people are giving us the runaround, or giving us a little bit of a whoopsie-do here and there. We're getting fed this story from many, many companies, and it's just how it works. If they are in control of a huge bag of money, they're not trying to share their money. Ultimately, they're trying to share just enough to keep things running and keep them making their money. So that's kind of how this game works out here, and you're seeing this across many, many of these companies, and not all of them are going to be successful. I think sometimes for long sustained success that you're going to have to operate in a correct manner. And if you really want to, you can have all your money if you don't have, people or type of any respect, or, people being proud of what you did, then you're not really going to have too much. And that is some of the road that these companies are going down a little too far these days of, putting the hammer down on people and really not listening. So it just seems the way it's going down here on the ground level. And I wish the best for all those people involved, because that sounds like messy business there with Annapurna Interactive. All right, so that's going to wrap up the midsection of this show this week for all the video game news. So we've talked about the PS5 Pro has been announced. We talked about Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection Arcade Classics is released. NBA 2K25 is released. Splatoon 3 has a Splatfest or Grand Festival going on this weekend. If you're listening to this podcast in real time today on September 15th, you can still play in that. Persona 3 Reload Episode Aegis, the Answer DLC is out now. Dead Rising Deluxe Remaster comes out in the upcoming week, September 19th, 2024. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 25th anniversary is coming up on the 29th of this month, so we're expecting to hear some type of good Tony Hawk information coming up. Microsoft has laid off around 650 employees in the gaming division, and Annapurna Interactive has a whole big trouble brewing where their whole staff has resigned. So that has been the video gaming news for this week. And so I'm trying to think. Maybe we'll have a PlayStation Direct coming up in the next few weeks, or a State of Play, or whatever they want to call those, or whatever they do call those, and get some information. But the PS5 Pro was the big news from this week. And I'll be back next week to tell you all the best video game information, maybe some updates on some of these stories as well. So we are going to wrap up the video game talk this week. We're going to take one final break. You're going to hear some lovely break music. We're going to come back for the Miscellaneous talk section of the show. And we're going to get into the worldwide world of sports. That's the plan. So, listen to this music and come back after this. Welcome back to the final section of Dep Lewis Show, episode 94, the Miscellaneous Talk section, where I can talk about anything I want to outside of the video game world. So I want to get into the worldwide world of sports today, as I like to do. I want to start off talking about my favorite NFL team, the Carolina Panthers. The season has started. They had a game last week, and it was terrible. It was about as bad as you could hope for. So the result was the Panthers looked really bad. They lost 10-47. Bryce was 13 of 30, 161 yards, 2 picks, and 4 sacks for 26 yards. I think all last year we watched the sack total and yard count was very disappointing each game, and 4 for 26 was our early, there's our early good one right there. Derek Brown, we found out after the game, was out for the season with a knee injury, and that was kind of the result of the Panthers last week to open the season. So a terrible game, more of what we saw last year, no offense. Even with new weapons and Bryce Young's second year, not able to do much, and I think the defense has regressed. So I think the Panthers' story for the last couple of years has been the offense has been miserable. The defense has been pretty good, but just not able to hold on because there's been no points put on the board. So it's not like, and this isn't really close. Their team's not very good, but I think that's been the case of watching these games. You'll see the defense be putting up a good fight and just kind of give out over time because they are being keep pounded on too much. And then I think this year it looks like our defense is not good, and we're really just one or two an injury away from a few of our defensive players of being really, really, really bad. So I don't know. The Panthers are kind of the opposite of what they have been when they've had success. We don't have a good defense, we don't have a good run game, and Panthers look kind of bad in all facets. They got a punt blocked, so even special teams not doing so hot, and nothing really positive from that first game. So the only positive today is that there is a home game in Charlotte that happens in a couple hours, and I'm going to it. I'm going to go check the Panthers out and see what's going on. Just want to go enjoy the opening game hype. Maybe the Panthers will be okay, but I think the remainder of the season is just going to be I'm going to go to some games if the tickets are very cheap, or I have completely nothing else to do, because it really isn't fun watching a terrible team get blown out that doesn't have any offense and the game's over in the third quarter or whatever it may be. And they put the backups in, the other team puts the backups in, and you're really just there. You would say you'd want to go watch the other team, but even if the other team's going to be winning so handedly, they're not going to play all their best players for the whole game. So you're really only going to see part of a game. You're going to be frustrated about your team, and you're going to spend money to do so. So just not the best experience, and something the Panthers need to figure out. But that game is now 3 hours away. I'll be in the building, and I'll be excited to go watch it. And I really don't have too much hope, but I just want to see what's going on with the Panthers and see what's the state of the franchise. I've already seen some fans walking around with brown bags on their head, drinking beers with brown bags on, and I think there's going to be a lot of booing and things like that. The brown bag said sell the team, and I just want to go kind of see what's going on in the Panther Nation. So the Panthers played today against the Chargers. The line's 4.5. I think it was 6.5 earlier in the week, which is kind of surprising. You'd think it'd be a little bit higher. I don't know why it's 4.5 today, but who knows? There's still some people holding out hope for the Panthers, I guess. But I got my fantasy team going today. Looking forward to the Panthers, and then that's about it for the football world. So basketball, Charlotte Hornets, I'm just a fan because I live in North Carolina. First game of the season, October 23rd. I did mention that season start date in the midsection. But my favorite NBA team, the Atlanta Hawks, first game of the season versus Brooklyn is in Atlanta, 10-23. I've seen Trae Young's hanging out with Reese Shea. They went to the Oklahoma football game and were doing some other things, so it's pretty good to see some team building going on there with Mr. Reese Shea and his long, lanky self, and I hope he'll be a good rookie. And then my favorite baseball team in the university, Atlanta Braves, have been really fighting for a wild card spot. I think they are in that third wild card spot now, but they have been going up and down with that against the Mets. Since I've last talked to you, the Braves won last Sunday against the Blue Jays. They won 4-3. Monday, the Braves lost to the Reds 0-1. This put them a half game back of the third wild card spot, so that was a pretty sad day. Tuesday, the Braves won against the Nationals 12-0. Wednesday, the Braves lost 1-5 against the Nats. Thursday, there was nothing. Friday, the Dodgers were at the Braves. The Braves won 6-2. Saturday, the Dodgers at the Braves. Last night, the Braves won 10-1, so a pretty easy victory, which was nice. Chris Sale still being very dominant, having a Cy Young type of year, and really holding it down for the pitching staff. So it's been really, really an outstanding, excellent, A+ top tier, S tier rank pickup for the Braves. Chris Sale, something I think I was halfway excited. I think I was on board pretty much for that. That you can go back and listen to some podcasts and listen to my Chris Sale thoughts, but I think I was pretty overall positive on that. But he has really exceeded expectations and been an excellent Atlanta Brave, and just thank you to Chris Sale for holding it down. The Braves play today, which is nice since the Panthers play at 1. The Braves are playing tonight against the Dodgers on Sunday Night Baseball. So, a pretty outstanding day for me. I just want to highlight that. Recording this wonderful podcast, which I have fun doing. I'm going to a Panthers game, and then later in the day, I can watch the Braves on Sunday Night Baseball. So, an all-around pretty great day for me. I played some Astro earlier, so as far as my hobbies go, really, really, really wonderful. So, just thank you to the universe for putting those things together for me. And then next week, the Braves are off Monday. Tuesday through Thursday, the Braves are at the Reds, and then Friday through Sunday, the Braves are at the Marlins. So hopefully we'll be getting some more Braves wins, getting closer and closer to the end of the season, which is a little bit scary, and I'm going to be missing the baseball. I've been hitting some good parlays, been hitting some three-leggers over the course of the last 2 months. I think that's the answer. Bet some three legs. Don't always bet the easiest matchups you think. You got to take some flyers and stick to the three legs. I think that's some pretty strong advice, and it's been working for me lately, and please gamble responsibly, and that is my gambling thought of the week. Three-leg parlays are where you want to go. So that's my advice. All right, so the sports talk today, we're going to wrap up this show. I'm going to get the podcast out, and I'm going to get ready for the Panthers game at 1 o'clock. I'm going to put on maybe my Cam Newton jersey, I think. I'm going to go see the game. It's a little bit of a cloudy day going on, not too hot, which is nice, and get to see the Chargers. I'm excited for that. Last year it was fun getting to see some of the opposing players. I think Justin Jefferson was the highlight from last year. And today we'll get to see Herbert and I guess Bosa. Get to see one of the Bosas out there if he's not injured, and that'll be fun to see. And just want to see what the Panthers want to do. And I don't really have a favorite Panther right now. Derek Brown was up there, now he's hurt. All my other favorite Panthers are gone, and it's really sad state of affairs for the team. But we're going to see. I'll be back next week to report to you on what happens on the Panthers and all other things, as I always do anyway. So that's going to wrap up this Miscellaneous Talk section. We talked about the Panthers, we talked about the Hornets, we talked about the Hawks, and we talked about the Braves. And just shout out to all my teams. I care about you either way, and you bring me entertainment. So I don't mean to be too negative, but love some sports and going to go watch them today in person. So that's going to wrap up the entire show. The entire episode 94 is over. So I'd like to reiterate some promotional talk from the beginning to please help me out. Follow Dep Lewis Show everywhere. Full episodes of Dep Lewis Show available anywhere you can find a podcast. So find the best place to subscribe and listen weekly. Places like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, YouTube, Amazon Music, and more. If you'd like to support even further than just listening, patreon.com/DepLewisShow is available if you'd like to subscribe monthly and get some additional benefits. And also Venmo at Dep Lewis Show is available any day, anytime, for any amount if you'd like to support the show. It's one of my favorite things to do, and hopefully will be a successful show one day. So any help, any view, any listen, any engagement, anything you got for me, I appreciate it. And just thank you for listening. So hope you have a great week out there in the world. Hope you get to play some video games. Hopefully you play some Astro. That's really fun. Hopefully we'll have some good video game news and things happening, and I'll be back next week to report to you on those. Hopefully you have some fun watching football today. Maybe hit some parlays. Maybe your fantasy team will win, or maybe your favorite team that you don't expect to do well will do well, and we will see. So definitely say go Panthers. I'm going to go watch them in a couple hours, and I'll be back next week in the final section to tell you about that. And I'll be back next week to tell you about all the video games, so you don't want to miss it. Thank you for listening every week. Please come back again, and just thank you for being you. And I'll be back next week for another episode of Dep Lewis Show.